Oh, welcome back, and big congratulations there to the Chiefs. AV made them work for it. There were some times where Spawn was feeling very cocky about his prediction and was quite unbearable to be around. But ultimately, the Chiefs won, so therefore I won. Spawn, do you have anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you three gentlemen won. The Chiefs won. I lost. Avant lost. But the real losers were the people that had to watch some of that game. Because, my goodness gracious, was there some ugly League of Legends being played by the jungler of the Chiefs and by the 80 carry of Avant Gaming. And Dragku had a couple of moments as well, but I'll be a little bit more kind to Dragku because he is new to the role. But that game, was just... I think Rusty did a really good job of outlining what the win conditions needed to be, kind of for the Chiefs, acting as a four-man unit, trying to repel as many objectives as possible, set their KL up for success, group around that, level 13, 14, through to maybe even 16, where the KL was going to be super strong. And then when you had a look at what Avant needed to do, they needed everyone to stack up on each other so that their wombo combo ultimates could actually be utilized. And I don't know how many times they got the initial pick, had the ability to restart an objective to allow that stack up to happen when they hadn't used a Rumble ultimate. And then Violet was like, you know what, boys, caution to the winds. Let's just see if we can pull out the montage play. And fool me once, shame on you, but fool me 16 times or however many times he died in that game. I think it was 8 or something in the end. That's an interesting way to play that game, I feel.
It may be a comparison that not everyone understands, Spawn, but I was getting iBoy shades in that game. Is like there's a player in the LPL who has a support specifically tell him in comms when he can and can't go because he's just too much of a weapon. That if he sees anyone, he just goes with everything.
Yeah, they call it the shotgun in the LPL, right? And the LWX and iBoy are the two most famous Kaisers for it. It's like, when can you actually go and use that close range barrage that's going to take everyone down? And the general answer is when everyone has used ultimates. And I don't know how many times we saw him dash directly into a Kayle with ultimate and get two-tapped.
Well, I'm glad you got that out of your system because there was a bit of a roller coaster there during the game. And I did say just before we came on, do you want me to set you up for a bit of a vent? And you went, well, I can't decide whether or not to do that or just to take it on the chin. But I'm glad you got it out of your system because I feel like that kind of hate is poison inside of you. If you
absolutely. I feel better for it. I'm sure the people that played the game and now had to watch that segment back probably don't feel better for it, Nick. But you know what? It happens.
Well, if they're not feeling great, then they should write into the Nick bag because we are looking for your medical maladies. And that means it's time to get to our first bunch of medical questions, which we are absolutely qualified to answer. This is the Nick bag.
Yes. Amazing.
Stepping our game up. Look at that.
Every week something new.
That's very exciting. I mean, we've got Kent is very bored right now. So he's got a lot of time on his hands. And he does good work. All right. First question, settle yourselves in because it's a big one. Comes in from Langdon Alga. When I was 10 years old, a ride-on lawnmower gave me a decidedly unelective surgery, slicing its way through the bones of my left foot. As a silver lining, the lawn thrived from the surprise dousing of blood and bone fertilizer. The resulting surgeries left me with 4 reasonably functional toes on a Frankenstein clubfoot, replete with skin grafted directly from my luscious right bum cheek. Needless to say, I had some nicknames in high school. However, the least obvious side effect of this accident is the chasm between my big toe and the newly promoted middle. Toe Jam was made famous on the Mega Drive, but few people are aware of the stench of gunk buried 2.5 centimeters into the recesses of a malformed appendage. Therefore, my question to the panel is, what is the youngest acceptable age to get my ears pierced? Thanks.
Oh my god. That's a good question though, isn't it?
We were taken on a journey, and so normally I don't put the troll questions in. Because normally I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, I get it. Like, I enjoyed that, but whatever. But this is, this works. This question works.
I don't know how to answer this question either, though. What is acceptable? Like, is acceptable at an age where your parents... I think you have to want it, and your parents have to say it's okay. Like, that's probably 2 very important parts.
That guy definitely got an A+ in English at high school. That story was descriptive.
Yeah, I had a good setup, I had a good middle, and then it had a plot twist, and I feel like the ending has, like most good stories, let us down. But I'm one of those people that if it's acceptable in your culture to pierce your kids' ears and stuff like that, there are some things that are definitely not acceptable to do. But I think ear piercing, if it is culturally appropriate, that doesn't I'm all for it, right? That doesn't bother me. I think that if it's your choice. I mean, I'm from an Italian Catholic family. I found out I didn't own any of this until I was 18 years old and willing to move out of home. So maybe for a Tiberi, it's 18 and when you're ready to move out of home. Because if you come back with something your parents don't like, you just have to be ready to go find a new place to live.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I agree. I think I'm putting aside all cultural things here. I don't want to wade into a cultural debate. If in your culture you do things one way, then that's what you do. I mean, I'm going to say, I agree. You have to consent to it as the child. But there's also, I could ask my son today if he wanted his ears pierced.
He'd say
yes.
There's
a 50-50 chance he would say yes. And then it would be all right, well, we've made a huge mistake. So I feel like they need to have consistently wanted that thing for, I'm going to say, 3 months. Every time you ask them for 3 months, do they want their ears pierced? And they're aware of the pain. And you also need to get some a nice earring. I don't want to say anything trashy. Let's not.
Okay. So my theory on that is you should never prompt that you should never ask it. They should want it for 3 months. So, they should come to you on day one and be like, I want my ears pierced or my nose pierced or whatever. And you'd be like, that's awesome. We're gonna talk about this for 3 months. And then 3 months later, if he comes up to you again and says, Dad, I want my nose pierced, you'd be like, let's do it.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's it. They should come home from school with the idea given to them by another child.
Yeah, for 3 whole months.
Skimmy?
I think that's the way to do it, right? When you're young, you're just so impressionable. You just want to do anything that looks cool so you fit in. So, flavor of the month happens in metas. It happens in life. There you go. So,
I'm all for it, though. Fit in. Conform. I'm sick of all these people not conforming, to be honest.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Just leave Twitch chat with that for a little bit, just to mull over.
Conform. Okay, next question comes in from Unknown. I have a small cyst on my back and I can't reach it. There's no medical reason to actually get it removed, but it's been there for at least 4 years. I want it gone. Where do I go? I like the fact that the first part of this question is I can't reach it, as though they could possibly perform the surgery themselves.
Where do you go?
Do you get it gone? Do you remove something that doesn't need to be removed? What if you have to go under?
If you're insecure about it, if it's like a mole, like a beauty spot, if you don't like it, obviously you can remove it. I would always say, is it at risk of causing melanoma? Is there any risk that it could cause you issues down the line if you're very active outside, for instance? Does it hurt? Does it itch? Does it cause grievance basically in your day-to-day actions? That's what I'd be saying.
Well, if they want it gone, the answer is yes, right? Yeah. Even if it doesn't physically cause grievance, there's obviously some emotional baggage around the appendage that may or may not be a twin child that they absorbed during utero.
Yeah, does it have teeth?
One, if you want some scary photos. I guess the answer to this one is, as long as you're willing to bear the repercussions of what you're going to get in response for the removal, you should do it, which is, local anesthetic, most likely, a scar, some stitches. If you don't look after the stitches, it's going to fester. You're going to get a blood poisoning and you might pass away. So as long as you're willing to take that risk through to the end.
You probably reach out to your doctor first and foremost, right? Probably recommend you onto a specialist, no?
Oh, no. Skimmy, what do you think this segment is?
No.
We're the doctors here.
Oh, we're the doctors? Okay, no, I apologize. It's too literal. It's too literal.
Reach out to a doctor?
Yes.
Are you trying to cost us jobs?
Look, I was just trying to be honest, and I forgot what segment we were doing. Go ahead, Spawn. Carry on.
Yeah, because my brother had a small cyst in his back, and he got it operated and removed. And because it was on his back, one night he rolled over in bed, and kind of tightened his back that he wouldn't have normally done. And then the stitches popped, and now he has a scar. So, I mean, as long as you want to call scar. Like, actually, maybe get a scar.
Maybe get a scar. Cool. In fact, if you don't have a scar, maybe elective surgery just to get a scar. Like if you don't have anything wrong with you, but you want that cool scar, just go in and get chopped and then immediately stitched. You do also have to bear the repercussions of if they take it and something is there. Turns out it is something that I mean, and according to some world leaders, if you don't test for these things, then they don't actually exist. So it could be okay, but as soon as you dive down this rabbit hole, then you're opening yourselves up. But Rusty, I would say that I would love this person for the grand final, the end of the split. Please come into the studio, and by studio I mean my house, and I will do a live surgery. It can't be that hard. It can't be that hard.
I've got limits.
Is there a Twitch TOS that would be broken with that?
Yes.
I should look that up.
You wouldn't have me on show, Nick. You couldn't have me on show.
Mentioning it, baby.
Can I Twitch TOS? Can I perform bathroom
Next question,
surgery?
Nick. Come on, we gotta push through.
These
these are not medical professionals, to your knowledge. Maybe I've been studying.
At Denian AU, how do you decide on a haircut? I feel like I have an argument with every hairdresser I go to when I say I'm fine with everything. Give me whatever you think is good, and then they ask me 50 questions on what I actually want. I don't know.
I mean,
no, I think it's a fair answer because there's nothing worse than a terrible haircut, right? And if you're being indecisive, you just leave the floor to them. And if they give you a bad haircut, then you're just basically giving yourself an out. I think you look online, right? You find a photo of
you got to take a photo.
A celebrity or a sports star or somebody go, I like how he has his hair. Can you do that?
No. I'm with Denny in here. You sit in the chair and you find a barber where they say, hey, what do you want today? And you say, just fix it. Yeah. And then you get because the thing is, your tactic sounds like the best tactic in theory, but you're taking a photo that another professional has done and asking for a replica. So pretty much what you're doing is you might take a Van Gogh painting to a painter and be like, hey, paint me this painting. And they're like, but I do like anime or like something, right? And then they're just going to make a mess of the Van Gogh. What you actually want is for them to be in their complete comfort zone. And I don't know what your
but surely you want to set guidelines because if they butcher your haircut, if you say, just do my hair, and they go, okay, and you come out and go, that's not what I want, and they say, well, you told me nothing, and you have an argument.
Just trim me like one of the French girls.
You just literally do this.
You can't screw up just to shave on the head.
Yeah. And literally every single time.
Take out the razor. Oh, sorry, bro, that's anime. That's not my Van Gogh. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, but every single time I get a bad haircut, and Jenna will back me up on this, I walk into my bathroom. If I see a shitty fade or something, I just grab the clippers, and I just shave my head. Because the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut is about 21 days.
I feel like the male meta of haircuts is so stale right now, though, right? Like either you've got the shaved head, you've got the fade, you've got like the side part, or you've got like the top bun.
It's all on display in this phone call. Like literally, like we've got the shaved head, you've got the fade on Skimmy, you've got the side part on me, and then Rusty could rock a top bun absolutely if he had the courage.
Get bowl, place bowl on head. Get pair of chicken scissors. Cut around bowl, Denian. That is the lit haircut.
There you go, Denian. I want to see that next week in the coaches' interviews that we don't do anymore. All right, it's time to get into the next game. Before I do, I very quickly need to just mention the NeoSurf competition. Please enter that NeoSurf competition. $500 gift voucher for the League of Legends store to buy yourself some skins. All you need to do is take a video of yourself joining the opening titles call, follow OPL and at NeoSurf Esports on Twitter. DM that video to OPL. Full terms and conditions are on watch.lolesports.com. $500 for the winner, $100 for 5 runners up. You get yourself in the show. Everyone gets to judge you when you make your video, but ultimately it's all fun and games, and you can replace Dab Daddy. All right, it's time to get into game number 2. It's Legacy versus Gravitas. Legacy took a hard hit yesterday. Can they bounce back against Gravitas? We will find out after the Macca's Champ Select.
Yes.
And welcome back for game number 2 of the day. Legacy taking on Gravitas, 2 teams at opposite ends of the table, but still looking to try and fight for their own respective pride. For Legacy, it's to get back to winning ways, right? We're unsure as to really where you point at, as to is it maybe relief that they finally have a defeat after a series of tough and close games, or is it a case of, look, you know, the standard needs to be reinvented? I'm not too sure, but one thing we can see here is that Gravitas, for the second day in a row, continue to draft with a different roster.
Yeah, they've brought Beats back into the support position, so once again they're going to change it up, and it is still going to be nobody in top lane. So they are yet to find a top laner to compete for them in this 4v5. No, it just means that nobody's playing instead of Kwaku. We're pretty early into this one already in draft, Skimmy, and the one thing that I do want to say for Legacy is I think they should be glad, and Legacy fans should be glad that they lost now. It is pretty early into the split. They did lose. They lost the undefeated split, sure, which is something that we said was entirely possible for them, but better now than week 8 coming into playoffs with that defeat, right? So now they can actually just spend that time, fix it up.
Going to be an exchange here of high priority picks in the bottom lane, and by priority I mean ones that can find some disgusting, some absurd amounts of pushing power. We've seen the likes of Akama and Ashe combined together, and they're looking at fights that can net them potential first bloods at the level 1 mark. We've seen that Karma be flexed between mid and in the bottom, but if they can go with the Ezreal, Ray's no stranger to this pick. Very, very strong in his hands, gives him a ton of protection and gives him a ton of poke to try and cater that need.
I'm pretty much convinced at this point that nobody only plays Ornn. There's no other way out of this conversation for me. Yesterday we saw them draft and they didn't actually use a Volibear flex. They locked in Volibear Ornn. They just locked him in 1-2. And that goes so against the standard of how to draft, particularly on Red side, which they've had 2 games in a row. And then they just picked an Akali third. And you're like, okay, I guess they're picking what they're picking. So we'll continue to watch this draft and see how they go, as right now they've got their Ashe Thresh. Ashe has been rising in priority a lot, and generally it's because it's good into Aphelios. But it's going to be the Ezreal Karma at this point. It can still flex the top lane, that Karma, of course, but Ezreal Karma into that Ashe. So decent lane, honestly, for Legacy if they can control the minion wave.
What do you think about them looking in as a first pick blind when every AD carry is essentially available, only Varus being taken away? Do you still feel like it has merit and is stronger than the likes of an Aphelios on Ezreal?
Man, the AD carry meta in general is very weird right now. I still feel like Aphelios is crazy good, right? Even with the slight nerfs that he got in 10-13. I still think that he's nuts, but the more that we see the Ezreals, the more that we see, like, Varus is just never allowed to exist as an example as well. Like, there is, like, Ashe is a good answer into a lot of ADs. And honestly, I don't even know how to stack rank AD carries at the moment. We need more sample on this patch.
We certainly do. But to add into the mix of things, Beat still making a name for himself in the support role. It's his most played supports in the Fresh so far, so they have some nice little kills set up if they can find situations that present themselves. It's going to be quite tough, quite hard, given the elusive nature that the bottom lane response of Legacy will have, and they're going to be quite content that an Ornn was locked in there. The static nature, as you highlight there for nobody with that pick, allowing a very nice time for the Trundle. That is going to be the Volibear once again coming out. We're not going to see it used as a flex pick, just going to be guaranteed now as a Prayless Jungle Initiate.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, what's to stop them from second picking a Volibear and flexing it between roles? It seems to be that nobody only wants to play Ornn. So now that they've picked the Volibear, we'll get to see how Legacy choose to respond to this one. If you watched the LCS today for Friday Night League, you would have seen the Golden Guardians play this Galio into a Volibear composition. It was into a Cassiopeia Volibear, but the reason that this can be so powerful is Volibear jumps in. It's not crowd control. Galio can respond with a big AoE magic shield as well as being right in the middle of the team fight mix there. So there is some definitely strong potential behind that Galio pick. In saying that, Skimmy, they've put it with a Karma, Ezreal, and Kayle. So it's definitely not about having that wombo going forwards type of play here. It seems like he's going to be a defensive Galio.
Characteristic really of Tally. We meme him at times as to having a set rotation, if you will, of champions that can influence those side lanes, but quite iconic since he's come into that role, and quite characteristic of what he's going to be able to bring to this team. A second game and a second appearance here for the Cal. The response, the final pick here, is once again a hyper carry in the Vladimir mid. So excitement, it continues to trend that for Gravitas, put Summon on someone that can look to try and hard carry and scale up. and make sure that Praylist has some form of initiation to shot call and start fights off.
Yeah, so, okay, Gravitas with their complete draft, they do have engage with their top laner and their bottom lane duo. So they didn't necessarily need any engage in mid lane. Suman into the Galio is not going to provide a whole host of wave control or mid lane priority by any means. And it's not going to be like the optimal gank avenue for something like a Volibear to look towards. But the Vladimir does provide an abundance of scaling damage and team fighting. Does mean that magic resistance becomes a pretty forced priority here from the side of Legacy. And that does mean, of course, that Praylist and Puma can go under the radar with the physical damage output they could potentially have. I don't necessarily know if Vladimir was the be-all, end-all best pick there, but I don't have too many qualms with it. My concern is that Vlad will press ult, Galio will press ult, and that denies a lot of the damage in the first place, just by having that magic shield there. So we'll have to watch this one play out on the Rift from the Gravitas point of view, but they do still have a whole lot of engage. They've got champions and a composition that I'm sure they'll be comfortable with. It's one thing to say this is our comp, it's another thing to execute it against what Legacy drafted, right? Which is a very good amount of disengage.
Well, given the nature of how Legacy have been playing in recent times, where their games have been going on a fair bit of time, they're going to fight scaling with scaling in their own accord. So if they are given a situation where Suman can hold his own, where the ornaments can start to come online, Vladimir could make the show all go around 10. We're going to have to wait and find out exactly how this game plays here today. As it will be Legacy looking to bounce back to winning ways as Gravitas do the gauntlet round of playing Chiefs yesterday and Legacy here tonight. Let's see if what they have today with another variation of their roster is able to find success.
Yeah, one hell of a week for them, isn't it? Going into both of those teams. Not exactly the easiest start to this one. Now, one thing I think is worth pointing out at this point is Tally has played the Galio before. It was in the playoffs. I believe he had like a crazy run of just like never losing a game in a best of 5 series, just playing Galio every game. And I think that was the last time we saw him play it. Yep. It just shows up every now and then, just stomps people and disappears back into the mists of the 146 champions that we have, or thereabouts. We also have a cleanse down in bottom lane here, Skimmy. So you've got the Thresh Ash, and it does mean that Raze is not going to be the one standing up tanking a lot of those arrows or hooks, ideally, through the laning phase. The reason that cleanse is so valuable here, though, is Karma's actually a major part of the wave control of the Legacy bottom lane, and that does mean that she's going to be the prime target for Gravitas to look at. So now that you've got that, you can play much more aggressively and still play like Karma should through laning phase and handle the Thresh Ash better.
It was interesting because in the draft, we did see Raze actually hovering the teleport, which Legacy as a whole have used to great effect in the last few matches, is running 3 teleports to just out-macro their opponents. But respecting the kill potential that Gravitas show, going to go for the combat summoner of the heal in the end. And I'll be very curious to see how Isles can best use this cleanse, if he is going to be the focus.
I mean, you can very easily make yourself the focus, right, depending on your positioning. Of course, if he wants to be aggressive and push forwards, that is a major way to do that. We're going to quickly take stock of the way that these junglers are pathed as well, because it is drastically different between them both right now. Praylist went for the red buff start. He then went to his Krugs and skipped the vision that was placed at the Raptor camp, and is now going to go towards his blue buff. That has been pinged immediately here by Legacy. So even though they haven't seen him, that's assumed knowledge anyway. Nice flash.
Flay goes out, as he will look to try and combine for a nice early level 2 skirmish. Doesn't run the Hex Flash here, but is running the Unsealed Spellbook.
If the hook connected, there might have been some summoner trades back. You could see that obviously the focus was towards Raze, but hits level 2 right on time, is able to dash himself out to safety, and the hook goes wide. So while it was a decent flash in theory, that is now a summoner spell completely missing for the Gravitas 2v2, and that can be massively punished.
It certainly could be. I mean, a big component as to why Legacy are respecting what they're up against here. Despite the mismatch, statistically speaking, given the caliber of both these duo lanes, we'll just continue to allow Isles to be a nuisance and just poke from afar, as you can see right now.
So they're starting to build up some wave control for themselves, and Trundle, of course, is on this side of the map. They are still trying to find themselves the Volibear, as he has been trying to just really avoid vision, but every single time he's avoided that vision, they've still known exactly where he is. You know, missing pings go on top of his head. Babip now crossing his way through mid lane as he has priority. This is the one thing we spoke about through draft, right? is that Vladimir, he's a really nice scaling threat, but there's no 2v2 priority between Human and Prayless against their opponents here, so they get mid priority, they force it, now they get the topside Scuttle Crab control as well.
And it's rough because Gravitas really can't respond. As you can see right now, all the lanes are favouring Legacy. They're going to be the first ones to rotate if a fight were to break on out. There's a lot of vision, there's a lot of tempo, a lot of control that Legacy can look to abuse.
Topun also going to place himself a ward in the top side Tri-Bush. Really trying to find themselves a Prayless now, and it will very shortly find that. So he's going to be able to promptly disengage. In saying that, Prayless swept it, like you mentioned.
So the vision will be cleared on out. As Babip also shows up topside and just replaces the ward again, so keeps his solo laner protected. Gonna be rough here for Beats though. He's cycling through those cookies and potions like nobody's business. This time will connect with the death sentence. Enters into that fight with half his health. But Isles will go in with the Tether right now, and that sustains himself a fair bit. One final order would have done it. He is in lethal range. Unable to find a situation to slow the Ash Springs was enough to bully Raze out. A very even affair.
Both junglers here.
But now we turn our attention to topside. Praetor's been so damn patient waiting for that lane gang. Nobody's going to bait him straight into that one. Out comes the Stormbringer, out comes the Thunder, the Lightning, the crash and the damage. That's the first blood. Will it be a turnaround? It will be indeed. A 1-for-1 as both junglers get themselves on the score sheet. And if Praetor can continue to get uptime here, the Frenzied Mauls would have given him a double.
Yeah, it just results in a 1-for-1 trade overall. Both junglers going to be the recipients here as well, so I don't think that'll matter too much for someone like Topun, who's just going to continue to farm in top lane. There's still a decent reset timing here as well for Nobody getting the full catalyst. So top lane just kind of continues as it was, and both junglers just get a little bit of an extra power up to be able to influence the rest of the map. The one major win there, though, was the health lead that Prayless had after that trade. Babip would have been forced to recall. Prayless could stick around if he wanted. And that does mean some extra camps could be snuck away, some extra money in his pockets before that reset comes across.
I think that's some really solid intuition there from Prayless to show that a fair bit of emphasis is around protecting this scale. We are going to go for that lane gank, and there was a control ward in that shrub as well to ensure that he could be patient, knowing that Babip would probably show face.
Prayless just gives him a how do you do in mid lane. Also able to stick around bot side. Scuttle Crab going to be spawning in a couple seconds here as well, so that's where a lot of the priority tends to shift towards that side of the map for junglers. Babip's just going to be there with a better reset timing, however. It'll be easy as you like. I wonder if he'll consider the Drake. They just don't know where Prayless is. If they were to start this one, though, it should just be uncontested. I think because they know that the bot lane reset, they can assume that the Drake is theirs to take, and they are starting that one off now.
But they are. As the reset comes out here from Legacy, now it's going to be Raze sitting himself on a tier, looking to stack up from afar, continue the harassment to find advantages in this lane matchup. Going to be a response here from Gravitas as Beats continues to cycle through the options available to him. Now has the exhaust if they were to look for that decisive all-in collapse at level 6 when his flash will no doubt be up and available again.
Once again, back to top lane. Last time we saw this type of gank happen, it was very favorable for TN, but maybe not this time.
Oh no. That is disastrous, Rusty. Prayless had the idea, and, well, call all the Forge Gods. Called?
Yeah, he did get called. It was a prank call, though. High white, not very pretty.
Yep, it was a telemarketer. He put the phone down.
Okay.
He wasn't having any of that nonsense.
These damn cold calls. Nevertheless, it's just an odd ultimate used for no real response there. Again, there was no flash for top food, so there was a potential kill threat available. Prayless being level 6 does make that even more possible. They just get... Ooh, they're going to try and sneak this away. If Prayless shows up, though, he'll have the smite. So this is just about timing.
Uh-oh. It's so close. It's
easier
so close.
on time.
He can smite that one away. No harm, no foul. Not going to be worried about that one whatsoever. It would have been a major, major win there for Legacy, given the fact that the wave was pushed in. They were able to rotate there first. They were really forcing
would have been like a triple win though, right? You've got top lane priority. You've got Herald being started, even though it's on Vision. If they got the blue buff, that would have just been icing on the cake. Or no ultimate for this skirmish as it happens. We'll see how this plays.
It's going to be a 3 vs 2. He's going to jump on in, but Galley's going to assist him to the team fight as Tapoon finds the first kill so far. Now a two-man. Taunt's going to give himself some protection. Trundle will find just a little bit of life as he's forced to flash away, but Sumin decides my eyes are set on one man only, and he will connect. Prayless juking Dev as the Holy Grail comes on out and makes sure that tally doesn't fall as well. Clutch timing.
Yeah, very well done from Tapoon to ensure that at the very last second as well, and it's as the spells come through for Tally, they're able to get the kills beat.
He's in so much trouble right now with the last stretch of his health bar, goes in for the full combo collapse. Not going to be enough, and Puma is left to his turret now. Very concerned at the harassment he's going to face.
Tapoon's having a crack up here in top lane. Q's going to have to be used on minions. He has kill threat now for real.
Doesn't have flash, but he can literally just order this guy to death. It's going to happen, and there it is. As soon as the life pool expires, he is unable to make anything happen, but Prayless is on the hunt, and I think as soon as she shows face to him, goes, hang on a minute, that doesn't kill with double buff. I've seen what happened in game number 1. Am I still keen to commit? He has a free level advantage over me as well. And he's literally just going to drift on out of there.
It's just a... Like, I'm watching Gravitas play this game at the same time as all of the viewers, and I have no doubt in my mind we're all just simultaneously confused, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that death in top lane, it's just so not necessary. You know? And even chasing the Kayle in top lane, you're like, there's no way you catch him. You don't have flash. He only just got his flash back up if you're Prayless. You're never going to catch the Kayle. It just casually walks away. Volibear's greatest counter, by the way. Just leaving. These things just kind of give Legacy advantages. The hook in bot lane, like, credit to you, good hook. But following that one and committing all in, like, you surely the second you follow that hook, in your mind you're like, that's probably a mistake. I might have just died here. It does. Legacy are going to be very quick to punish that one. And from a fairly even overall start, it's suddenly 2,000 gold and a massive advantage for Legacy, particularly in top lane.
Another game where Kayle gets so far ahead at a point in the game where you expect them to be slightly hampered, and it's scary times when in the hands of players as proficient at the likes of Tien and Tapoon, but Prayless is going to continue to be on the active. He's going to try and jump around this map as CC after CC couples on layers and damages the hopes and dreams of a bot lane ADC as Raze will fall on down. Looking to try and find some form of trade as Babip summons the Herald topside to break through the first turret.
Raze won't be very happy about that E forward, straight into an Ash Arrow. Maybe protecting the Kayle who doesn't have cleanse, maybe thinking he'll live, but I don't think that's the case here. However, they are still trading positively on the top side of the map. The Kayle win condition is abundantly clear here for the Legacy roster. They've got something going for them. Just unfortunate kills in bot side. Very good arrow though from Puma.
So much CC that was available to them, and Prayless didn't even have to use his ultimate to disable the structure if they were to go for a turret dive as well. So he'll be quite happy with that one. As you highlighted in the drafting phase, the amount of, with the abundance really of engaged potential they have to couple together quite nicely. They can sequence it well in going into these next skirmishes as the second dragon of the game will spawn. It's a place for them to look to try and play around.
Yeah, it's going to be probably the coolest part about this this particular game and how these compositions will interact. Is it's probably going to be a fight of waves. Wave number 1 is going to be Gravitas engaging. If it's successful, then there may not be a full second wave out of Legacy, but the response from Legacy is going to be the most dangerous part. If they survive the engage, you know, Karma has the cleanse, maybe it's just an ultimate from Kayle to keep someone in there, then suddenly when they turn around and you're committed, Legacy's at their most dangerous in this game. So you definitely want to use those objectives as maybe a bait for Gravitas, particularly the Baron is the one that I would have my eyes set towards. Once they start looking at Baron, they want Gravitas to come to them so that they can counter-punch them significantly harder than Gravitas can come at them with. If that doesn't happen, then you just plant Tapoon in a side lane until the Nexus dies.
Very real possibilities. I mean, it certainly is. It seems to be majority of the time, right? If in doubt, put your Kayle on the side lane, force the team to come to you. Always play your style of game. Put the onus, put the pressure really on your opposition as to, well, what do you want to do in response? We've seen that happen so many different times with Legacy. Have been able to cheat tempo and achieving 3 inhibitors, or just looking to end the game based off that teleport advantage as a result. So we're curious to see what the response is from Gravitas. There is no objective to contest right now, but that's not going to prevent them from going for this full 5-man collapse. They're going to jump it in right now as the Human Play collects with 5 members. Puna's on the flank right now, uncontested. 3 members are literally waddling towards him. He's just cutting them auto space. It's damage, and it is a double kill right now as they're forced to flash away. They were the ones in the driving seat going forward, but they just don't have enough damage when the AoE connects. Gravitas does not care. He flashes aggressively forward, takes the shield to his head as the pull comes out to deny what would have been a quadra kill.
Yeah, very good timing on the pull to keep himself alive, but super close to going down there from the Ezreal ultimate. Nevertheless, that's basically the way that this game continues to play out, Skibby. There's not much more we could say to that point. It was a teleport coming in for Gravitas. We called that the first wave of a team fight. The response from Legacy is survive, persevere, and turn it back around. Teleport comes in from Topoon and Trade, and that's all you can really expect from these teams with the current state of the game. I don't know if that was the perfect timing here for Gravitas. They don't even have a full item yet on their Ashe. And the Kayle is too big to deal with.
Did feel a little bit awkward there. Hurts them a fair bit here. We've hitting the 15-minute mark with Legacy up by 2 dragons. They got the first Herald and the second one is available if they do see fit. But at this stage they are up as a collective by 5,000 gold. You can feel the power and their ability just to dominate those team fights. They can split apart the ranks of Gravitas and just win the fight on all fronts.
I don't think it's worse. The further that Legacy find themselves in the lead, the more aggressively and the more bold that they can play around the map and force bad decisions out of their opponents, who, as mentioned, always want to be the aggressors if possible. There is still the possibility of like a 2-3 item Vladimir just being able to one-hit an entire team. Of course, we spoke towards what a Galio ultimate can do to deny that one, but it still exists. If you're able to play your cards nicely, and here we go again.
Enchanted Arrow will not connect. They had the follow-up. They were waiting. They were on the flank coming through mids. Every single time that ultimate is up, they are always posturing for an opportunity to try and get a connecting kill.
That makes you wonder, is Blade of the Ruined King the optimal build here for Puma in this game? Why would it not be perhaps the Essence Reaver build if he's going to be the major part of the engage of Gravitas? Get that cooldown reduction there, throw them out as often as possible. There's not really any... Oh, there are some tanks, right? You've got your Trundle that you have to deal with, so it has value in terms of damage. I sort of think maybe the extra cooldown reduction. And you still got crit to compensate for damage there. Could be valuable.
That's definitely what Raze is itemizing towards. Not going to go the Iceborne Gauntlet this time around. No, he wants straight damage. He wants to be the carry. He is itemizing towards the Trinity Force. Wants to weave in those autos as freely as possible. Combine that with the Athene's Unholy Grail, which is going to benefit not only himself, but Topoon as well. Ardent Sense will come online and things will get quite scary if they aren't already.
For sure. Everyone has their own reasons, right? For like, do I go for the Iceborne Gauntlet or the Trinity Force? When you ask an AD carry, their answers may vary. For me, I look at his composition and I think, do I need to apply slows for the rest of my team? And the answer is I have a Karma, I have a Trundle Pillar as well. We have a decent amount of setup already, so like while it's reasonably valuable, I don't think it's necessary. And then you look at the opposing team, you're like, okay, do I need armor stack? And Vladimir is the biggest threat right now. Like you're super far ahead of the Ashe. She's not going to be dealing with you anyway. You're going to be dealing with the Vladimir, so you don't need armor. You can just afford to go for the damage and the movement speed that comes out of having the Phage and the Trinity Force.
Well, the Blade of the Ruined King will be completed. We'll get some fairly large uptime given the nature of the attack speed it provides. The question is, though, as you say, once again, going back to the point of, do you want to try and play backline access? Do you want to poke from afar with your volleys, with these enchanted arrows? That's what you're typically playing around. Now, Raze is going to enter in this fight with a rather depleted mana pool, so won't be as nimble as he'll want to be.
One ult out.
He's going to look to try and initiate. That's actually going to cancel Tally's jump on in. He's going to find himself a 4-man tool. Dirty and disgusting. Receives the ultimate from the Kayle as Praelis jumps into the back line. Once again, the arrow goes through every single person. A needle in a haystack. Now that is the worst case scenario possible, and Gravitas, so we can't do anything now. We have to disengage away. The autos travel through space and time as the Lantern forces a disengage. Beach jumps in, but they just can't deal with the damage that comes out from afar. Taunt after taunt, death after death. They are looking for an ace. He does not miss those skill shots, and he gets himself a pentakill.
Wow, Raze just comes up huge. Legacy, you can see him running straight towards the base here as well. That was maybe the best case scenario for Gravitas, but they do it just too late in the game. or they fought too many times too early in the game to put themselves in such a deficit, because they were close to getting some kills there. But we get to see a lot of the nuances of Legacy's composition here, one of them being the Kayle to protect the Galio as he just stands and delivers, and then the Galio in turn using his ultimate to give a magic shield to everybody to help them get through the Vladimir ultimate. Just like that, you know, Topoon's still able to be tip-top HP, to sit there and apply all of the damage. Now, he does get hooked. They do put a lot of extra damage towards him, but during this time period, you know, everyone focusing Topoon, no one even thinking about Raze, who was just able to freely hit through this one. Nice little flash Q there as well to find himself the 3rd kill. 4th one with a snipe, and easiest pentakill of his life in the end, but not easy for any other player in the world.
He just does not miss those skill shots there, Rusty. And what's crazy is we said he went into that fight with no mana. Presence of mind from that Keystone is just so damn OP. And as you highlight, everybody fully invested in shutting down this Kayle. They forgot about him in the backline. Finishes that fight with full mana, able to emit all those skill shots that were so perfectly utilized. That's really perfectly telling of where this game was at, given the fact that Legacy was so far ahead, up by, say, 5 to 6k golds. And just that these arrows just don't seem to be finding them up.
And they're just going to be monstering around Summoner's Rift now. Even if those arrows start to find their marks at this point, it's going to be it feels like a too little too late type of moment. We haven't got our 2nd item completed yet for Suman. He's going to need that desperately, and it's going to be a Zonya's, so not going for the maximum damage build here. And Raze, the other R word, AD carry, is just going to be way too far ahead.
Look what he got as a result of that fight, right? Completes the Trinity Force, evolves the Mirror Mana, and now has a QSS online as well. Going to be so protected, as if he wasn't already before. So these fights, as favorable as they've been, and as telling as they've been, they have full control of this game. Up by 10,000 at the 20-minute mark with 3 dragons to name. They are threatening Soul Point up in 3 minutes. The map belongs to them with 5 turrets to 0 also.
It's going to be gameplay around the Baron at the moment. With the way that they're currently playing, they've got themselves a Kayle posted up in bot lane, split pushing, which means that nobody's going to have a pretty miserable time over there. Just quickly worth pointing out as well that he went for the Grasp build instead of the Unsealed Spellbook. Tally cops that, but buffers it. And, I mean, he was going to be fine regardless, to be honest, I think. That was a Hail Mary if ever I've seen one.
Bit of desperation. They are searching for pretty much anything right now. Being run around this map. As you can see from the minimap, they are locked inside their base. Searching top, searching wide. Nothing presents itself as a valid opportunity at this stage. So this is what happens. If they go too far into their own jungle, they just get deleted.
Yeah, there's no safe space for them besides their own base. They choose to step up, maybe look for some hooks here and there, maybe an Ash Arrow here and there, but they're just made to pay for it every single time. This continues in bot lane. The pressure that they've put down, nobody goes for a reset. He probably wants to use his ultimate in top lane right now and sacrifice bot inhibitor if they can. But they don't even have a support to help deal with that, so this just continues. Arrows are probably just going to break everywhere at once.
22 minutes in, as Legacy look to break the first inhibitor. Will Gravitas afford them that opportunity? That's a 4-man ultimate slam down dunk. Do they have the follow-up? The Hemo play comes on out, but he gets taunted immediately. He drops the wombo combo, the damage.
Oh my.
And I'm stunned literally by the Yawn ultimate there. And I am able to achieve too much right now. It's going to jump into the backline and zone away 4 members with the taunt once again. Time after time. Able to just control how the fight goes in their favor. True Shot Barrage will look to try and execute the final member in this skirmish. But the pull, the flash, it won't be enough. Game over is the emote. As they will get themselves another ace at 20 minutes in. That'll be the inhibitor. And they are looking for the end.
I tell you what, 23-minute victory here for Legacy. We spoke about Chiefs Angry Gaming. This takes it to a whole nother level here, Skibby. Not a lot of engage on the Legacy roster, but they know that their opposing team does. Very good League of Legends coming out of Legacy to get themselves the victory here on day 2 of the OPL. Never in doubt.
The perfect player does it again with a pentakill. Fitting for the narrative of this match. We knew it was going to be an uphill battle here for Gravitas. It was their week of hell. 26 minutes was their loss against Chiefs last night. 23 minutes it was here today. There is a clear disconnect and distinction between the teams at either ends of the ladder. signs of positivity in that their identity hasn't changed. Just look, let's draft carries, let's draft initiation. Just the execution as a whole felt like a bit of a mismatch.
I mean, they might have just been a wrong place at wrong time type of situation here for Gravitas. This may not have been the week that you wanted to verse Chiefs and Legacy, even though Legacy lost yesterday, because that just felt like a whole new beast coming out of them today. Gravitas, they had some okay moments in team fights, but that's all you can really give them at the moment. There was, decent positioning from Prayless through the early game, but they were up against Legacy, and they just, all class, able to take them down.
All class and reigning champions for a reason. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, it is game 3 of the night. That's going to be Direwolves taking it on against Mammoth.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
Welcome to the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson.
And that's a beautiful hemo play, got to multiple members. He gets himself a double kill.
It's Ray's doing what he does, the team fight king.
We love everybody. We love the OPL.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.